And like the infamous gladiator spawned from betwixt the glorious cleft chin of Kirk Douglas, I am Spartacus. And this is Salt of the Streets podcast.
This is Saturday, September 8th, 2:01 p.m., episode fucking 30.
Dirty 30. Welcome back, everyone, to the Salt of the Streets podcast, your one and only source for social and political commentary on weekly news, pop culture, and sports built from the ground up for people like you and me, the everyday normal person. Join us as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Oh, see, I did what you did the other day. I looked up to try to go off script.
Can't do it.
And continue our endless efforts to bridge the gap between people and information. As always, we are your hosts. I'm Colin.
I'm Donovan.
And coming up on this week's show, we'll be touching on the anonymous op-ed published in the New York Times. And kind of along with that, we're going to talk about Bob Woodward's new book on the Trump administration.
Fear.
Yeah. That's the title of it. It's pretty fun. We'll hit up the Nike Colin Kaepernick ad campaign situation. I think we both have some thoughts on that.
Oh, I'm sure we do.
And we'll be doing what we're going to call part one of the Judge Kavanaugh Senate Judicial Committee hearing. It's been so big, it's basically gone on all week long. So we're going to focus on kind of the first chunk. And then next week, we're going to hit the second part. Yes. But of course, before we dive into the heavy stuff, just a reminder to take a second to rate the show on whatever platform you're listening to us onto right now.
There you go.
Whether it's SoundCloud, Stitcher, or iTunes, Apple Podcasts. If you like what we're doing and want to help us out, all you have to do is jump down and give us a rating, 5 stars. Don't even have to ask for anything else because I know we're 5-star material. And if you so choose, a nice little review to go along with that would help us out, and we'd love if you're ever. Follow us on Instagram at Salt of the Streets. Give us a like on Facebook at Salt of the Streets. Follow us on Twitter. I am at Big Bird Offie.
At Salt of the Street on Twitter. And at Alpaca_Donovan on Instagram.
That's right. Well, and I'm still at Big Bird Offie on Instagram.
Yes.
And then also, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Just search Salt of the Streets on YouTube. We're on there. Subscribe. Click the little bell notification button thing there to get an alert whenever we put out fresh material. I think we're shooting for Tuesdays now for a YouTube release of the video podcast. We ran out of space last week, so if you caught that show, I think about 2/3 of the way in, we had to cut to just like a little pretty skyline of Seattle because we ran out of video. But hopefully there won't be a problem this episode. You'll find out later. Stick around and find out. So, word. What do you want to start with first?
30, flirty, and thriving.
30, flirty,
Forgot to say
and
that.
thriving. I should have said that.
One of us should have. So,
we dropped the ball. Jordan, we apologize.
That's right. It's done.
That's right. We nailed it on the pre-show, so if you haven't seen the pre-show yet, catch that. That was funny. Do you have a preference? Do you want to hit... We can use Colin Kaepernick to kind of pivot into sports.
Yeah, so let's start with Kavanaugh, because that's probably going to be the longest topic. So we'll just
just hit it right off the bat.
Just bang that thing out.
Can I just say?
Yes.
That was really difficult to watch.
All of
it,
man.
Man.
Statements? Oh, the whole
just
thing.
Just all of it. The whole beginning, everything. So maybe should we start at the beginning, since that's pretty much where it all just fucking kicked off.
Yes, because let me tell you, Colin, less than 3 minutes after Kavanaugh sat down and less than 10 seconds after ChuckGrassley started banging on the gavel, Kamala Harris interrupted. So it
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yeah.
See, you have to keep talking, so then I have to talk over you.
Right.
Oh my God.
It certainly did start at the very beginning of what happened, and it was, almost 2 hours of fucking...
nonsense, essentially.
Of just bullshit. Yeah. Bless you, honey.
Brought to you in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah, so like I said, less than 10 seconds after ChuckGrassley started talking, Kamala Harris interrupted with an issue that at the time largely confused me, right? I was not sure exactly what the deal was at the time. It took me
documents, this big document controversy.
the deal with the committee confidential, right?
Okay.
Because that's really...
It's really what
it seemed to me that's really what the deal is. So, yeah, they start talking about all of the documents, right?
All the documents.
All of the documents.
I've heard that word so many times the last few days. I can't stand it. That's like one of the words now I can't stand. Yes. Documents.
I know I hated writing it as many times as I had to in these notes. And they were talking about all these documents that they received the night before, right? Because if you listen to, Chuck Grassley talk for any more than 5 minutes, or really any of the Republicans talk for more than 5 minutes, they'll tell you that Brett Kavanaugh had with him more documents than the past 5 Supreme Court justice nominees put together. There's all these fucking documents, over, 42,000 documents or something like that, and a million pieces of paper. I don't know, because the numbers kept changing, so who knows really what like the actual fucking...
But apparently it's a fuck ton. That's kind of what we're looking at. It's just a ridiculous
40,000 documents on Labor Day. Yeah, so 40,000 documents came out Labor Day. And so that's... I don't know. I might have it some... White House says 100,000 documents were without... that's something else. So I'm not sure exactly how many documents, right? But a fuckload. Hundreds of thousands of documents that were turned over, having to deal with Brett Kavanaugh because he's been a judge for so long, because he's been a lawyer for so long, and then he worked in the Bush White House for 5.5 years.
Yeah. I think that's what that was the big slowdown, I think, in those document releases, that portion of them, whatever.
Yes.
It's because... Yeah, the confidentiality, I think, behind that is the senators, essentially, the committee members, could have access to them and look at them and know about them, but they can't bring it up during the hearing because it's not able to be released to the public by law yet.
Right.
And so they were kind of waiting around for, I guess, George W. Bush lawyer to kind of approve these things, go through them, and make sure he could approve which ones got released.
They can ask like general questions, vague questions about these documents because it's all things that Brett Kavanaugh at one point in his life has seen. Yeah. So some stuff he could probably very reasonably recollect, and some other stuff is one email that he did in passing one time that he probably has no fucking idea,
Because essentially it's that way because it's just not approved for the public consumption. And so these senators, they feel, have to know this stuff anyways to be able to make up their mind whether to vote on somebody or not.
Correct.
And then it's just they're not supposed to be released if they're classified as that committee confidential.
But then there's a problem with the process. Yeah. Right? Because this particular process of committee confidential, at this point, those documents having to do with Kavanaugh and his time in the Bush White House are being designated committee confidential by Chuck Grassley at the advice of a man named motherfucking Bill Burke.
Bill Burke.
Right? And Bill Burke, I don't remember what his job was. Right now he's a lawyer. So he probably was White House counsel or something at the time, but him and Kavanaugh worked together in the Bush administration, right? He is the one because... All right, so let me take a step back, right? I got to unpack this a little bit.
Let's unpack it.
As they say in the fucking business, okay? So, because this stuff happened under the Bush administration, right? It's not technically executive privilege, right? Which is something the president can invoke having to do with any conversation he had or documentation so that it's held under his privilege. It's not open to the public. It's private, right? So it's not executive privilege, but there's something in the Constitution that says either something interpreted by the Supreme Court, right, that I took notes on here, that says that the president has a reasonable right to privacy having to do with documents that he dealt with in his time, right? Okay. Even if it's not under executive privilege. So by that...
Almost like an attorney-client type of privilege.
Yes. Okay. It's very similar, right? And so by that, instead of it being a regular records request from the general records or what the fuck ever it's called, right? It goes through a special presidential process. And so the president and his team get to decide what gets released and what doesn't. And so instead of President Bush doing it himself, this man Bill Burke is doing it. So Bill Burke is the one that is deciding what can and cannot be released to the public.
Well, who the fuck is this Bill Burke character?
Exactly. So that's the concern of so many of the Democratic senators, especially like Leahy and Whitehouse. Like those people are really concerned because the possibility of him being partisan, especially having worked with Kavanaugh at some point, it seems pretty high to me. That seems like a reasonable concern about that process, that it's not being done by an absolute bipartisan individual that's designating those documents, right? So, like
I wish I knew what he like looked like or something like that, because there's a lot of stuff. I just Googled him real quick.
Exactly.
A lot of shit comes up.
I don't know that much about Bill Burke himself, but
is he maybe one of his lawyers or something?
It's right now he worked for the Bush White House, but that's all that I know. I don't know exactly what he did. Right now, he is a lawyer. Like he's just a private lawyer doing whatever he's doing. But at the time, him and Kavanaugh worked in the Bush White House together, and so that's part of the concern.
Okay. Okay. I found something on him. I'll have to try to go through and see what his job was.
To me, seems like a reasonable concern, right? So that's part of what they're talking about this whole time, right?
I mean, he may have some kind of legitimate job where he, maybe his job in the White House was to vet types of things like this. I don't know. But I guess I want to give the system a little bit more benefit of the doubt before I make judgments on it.
Well, it's just because, it's that way because President Bush gets to decide who goes through the documents, and so it's...
Oh, he just gets to pick who goes.
Yeah, he gets to decide because it's under presidential privilege. It's not executive privilege. It's not that exact same thing. It's something that was interpreted by the Supreme Court that says that he gets to do that.
So essentially, he probably would use his lawyer, or this guy is probably a lawyer, it's from the sounds of it.
Yes.
Just hire him to represent him and go through his documents, maybe.
Yes.
So, I don't understand because he's essentially a private citizen now. Why can't he do that, I guess?
And it's not that he can't do it. They're just concerned that he might be biased because him and Kavanaugh worked together in the Bush White House.
Yeah.
That's the concern, which, like I said, I could see. I don't know enough about their relationship or even his position to try and make that decision, but it sounded like... and there are some people that... if it's just Cory Booker and it's just Kamala Harris, I am gonna listen but not give care that much.
Yeah.
But it was also, like I said, it was also Leahy and Whitehouse, and I trust those guys a lot. I like them and the way they're doing shit. So I
could see that because they've been around for a long time.
Yes.
And I think I heard Leahy talk because I was just reviewing some of that stuff this morning, and I think I heard him say something about how he thought the process was all screwed up. And so essentially, that's the process now that I know that he was talking about. And that makes sense, I guess, especially when it comes to somebody, because even though technically, he's a private citizen now, he, during that time, he was the president of the United States. Maybe we should have somebody that's quote unquote, non-biased or non-partisan. But that gets weird though, because it's almost like you're signing away part of your probably a Fourth Amendment right by choosing to become president and then knowing that you'll leave office. But I don't know. I don't think it would be a big deal. I could see where the issue could be with that.
Exactly. And that's, I can't really...
I'd be interested to look at that Supreme Court decision then.
Which one?
The one that basically made it so that,
and I don't know, I
would wonder what they would throw in that opinion to give context behind their decision.
Yeah, so Senator Whitehouse said that 100,000 documents were being withheld under executive privilege, quote unquote, when it has not been invoked, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's essentially what it is without him actually, without President Bush having to enact executive privilege, right?
Yeah.
And so Senator Grassley responded that was because of Kavanaugh's work with the Bush White House that he's allowed to withhold documents for confidentiality without executive privilege under the Supreme Court. So I would have to look up what that decision was, what case it was, but he was able to cite some type of decision. Yeah. Pass down by the Supreme Court. So
I want to check that out. I'm going to dig into that because that just sounds interesting to me. I like to know those contexts of why that's there because there's a lot of different reasons why. And is it, could that have been a bad decision that might have broken the process?
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, and the concern with those documents not being released, right? Those 100,000 documents at that time, things that were being discussed were like torture, Enron, executive power, abortion, gay
That's
gay
all
marriage. I mean, there's a huge amount of things that were being discussed within the Bush White House and the Bush administration at that time that a lot of senators think is relevant to their decision and the way that he might rule on the court.
And this is why every one of those senators keeps bringing up those specific topics.
Yes. But that's also the flaw that I saw in that, right, is that's assuming that he's not going to be able to put all that stuff in a box to the side and not give a shit, and that's like, well, you have to hope, but they're, for any number of reasons, trying to prove that that is not the case by finding something within all of those documents that will prove that he has some type of opinion strong enough that he can't put it aside.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It seems like that's what the intent is, and
almost like a witch hunt.
It's
part of the political game in this point. They're trying to find ammo, essentially, and we don't know if there's the smoking gun. We don't know. We're looking for a smoking gun, even though we don't know it's there.
Right.
But as part of the process, this political process, we need to be able to look and see if there is that smoking gun. And I mean, it makes sense to me. And, because, as kind of wacky as those two can be, they said it during their opening statements, but it's a lifetime appointment to a federal, like the top court in the United States. So it is important that if there's those skeletons in his closet, per se, that whoever's voting,
we should know about that.
They should know about it.
Yeah.
We can argue all day about how much we really need to know about that, especially given how much political sway the mob has with their senators and all that good stuff. And and then does that make them look for someone that is more partisan? And then, but when I think for somebody as neutral, as unbiased and all this that the Supreme Court's supposed to be, the political pressure from the public can't be healthy for this whole process either. It gives politicians chances to grandstand. It gets all those protesters that we'll talk about. So it makes me question whether or not we should have access to this.
To the documents or to the hearing itself?
To the hearing.
Oh.
But that's another aside.
We should. Oh, I certainly think that we should. I don't have any question that we should know what the fuck is going on there.
Yeah.
Everything that's not confidential to the national security of the United States. That's.
But should it be televised?
My boss is allowed to watch me work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know.
Yeah, that's
true. I should
true.
be able to watch my employees work, and that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
I can't spend all my days in Washington, D.C., but I can listen to it while I'm at work and make sure that I know what's going on. And if I hear Patty Murray or Maria Cantwell popping off about some shit, make sure that I don't vote for them next time. Or if I hear Derek Kilmer say some shit I don't like, then I'm like, well, fuck you, son, I'm out. I'm not voting for you.
Which is good, because we never hear that from him.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
So that's the way that I see it.
I see that too, but I think that outweighs my other thought here. But it definitely outweighs it. But I do worry about the influence that the public has on their politicians like that. The only reason we see the grandstanding that we did and all this dramatic bullshit is because they're trying to show off. They're trying to be strong and
posture for their 2020 run.
They might be asking the same questions, but they won't be asking them in the same way. They won't be, making the huge spectacle that they do all the time now, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Well, because so let's talk. It's
like a double-edged sword.
Let's talk about this real quick, right? While you're talking about while we're talking about the grandstanding and everything, right? So
perfect segue.
One of the first things that happened was Senator Blumenthal moved to adjourn, right, after Kamala Harris brought up all the amount of documents that they were talking about, right? And ChuckGrassley ignored him. He's like, well, I'm not doing that, right? I'm not playing this fucking game. I'm just not going to do this, right?
Just trying to power through.
Exactly. So time goes on and people get upset. He gets a second by, any number of people are willing to second his motion to adjourn or to postpone. ChuckGrassley ends up saying that he's not doing that because they're not in executive session.
Yeah,
right?
Whatever that means. So some kind of rule
Right, because this is a hearing and not just a session for the committee itself, right? Which
Gotcha.
That's some, and so Senator Blumenthal, after a certain amount of time, comes back and says, actually, right, under Rule 4 of the Senate, if I have, X and so type of thing that I want to vote on, and it's not going to do this and it doesn't do this, then you have to allow us to take a vote on it before we move on. And ChuckGrassley says no, because we're not in executive session. And Senator Blumenthal says, I don't see it anywhere in here that says that we have to be in executive session for this to go on.
Oh, boy.
And ChuckGrassley says, well, I don't see it anywhere that it doesn't say that. You know what I'm saying?
Would that be considered a constitutional crisis?
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. And
senatorial rule.
It's at that point, regardless of whether or not I agree with why Blumenthal's doing that. If it's the rules, I think that they should be followed because that's how they were fucking written. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the parliamentary procedure exists for a reason.
Yes, regular order. That is exactly like what that is. Mm-hmm. And so that after, like I said, an hour and a half, like it never happened. They didn't postpone. Nothing happened.
Which I think, could we just talk about that for a second?
Yes.
Because why didn't they postpone?
They did not postpone.
Yeah, I know. Why did they not postpone?
Oh.
That's what I'm at. Why didn't they?
Oh, because ChuckGrassley, that's because he said it, we're not in executive session and we have to be in executive session for this rule to apply. And Senator Blumenthal, I mean, it's a he said, she said, because ChuckGrassley's saying, well, we have to be in executive session. Yeah. And you can't show me somewhere where it doesn't say that. While Senator Blumenthal is saying, well, it also doesn't say that we have to be in executive session.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say that, but it doesn't not say that.
Yeah,
so it could be argued either way.
Exactly.
And
so without that ruling, just
the chairman
that aside, because there's so many eyes on this now.
Yes.
It makes that Republican side look 1,000 times worse to the public, because we all know that documents got dropped 24 hours before this session opened, right?
42,000 documents.
Okay. This is the same argument I had with the Affordable Care Act, where they dropped the fucking rule book with no time to go through it. It's like, okay, well, we got to vote. Let's vote. It's like, why would you have to do that? To me, it literally just shows that they can't delay it because midterms are around the corner. That's what I get suspicious from. And it looks so fucking shitty.
Yeah.
And if you have any respect as a politician for yourself and your duty in your job, you should do what's best for the American public. And that's not rushing through a fucking Supreme Court judge with a lifetime appointment.
Well, and it's not just that midterms are soon, right? Because that's true. It
has to be a factor.
No, I'm saying, but it's not just that, right? It's also that the new term for the Supreme Court starts in October.
And they want to get him in before that.
They don't want 8 justices on the court. And that was another thing that, again, regardless of the validity of it, that's another thing that Democrats were arguing now. They kept asking, what is the rush? Like, what is the rush? Why? And that's something I agree with. That you were just saying, what is the rush? Why are we trying to rush this through, right?
And to me, it's political poison to do that to yourself when you know for a fact that just due to the day and age, how many fucking people are going to be watching? All the protesters showing up. It's a red flag. All the grandstanding from the other, from your opposing politicians. People are fucking watching this thing, and you just look like an asshole. And it doesn't do the fucking Republicans any help.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know, to me, like, I could see why they would do that politically. It's just, it's a bad move, man. It's dirty. Yes. But I guess, it is what it is. But
it obviously shows that they're scared. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're genuinely scared that
I can see that
they might lose the majority, which seems like it's a...
They're looking through the binos going, is that a blue wave or is that not a blue wave?
It seems like it's a pretty legitimate possibility just from what we've seen in the House and stuff like that. Like it's certainly not guaranteed, but it's a genuine I feel more confident in it than when we first talked about it. When you wrote your blog post or your dissent about it, however many weeks or months ago that was.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I certainly feel more confident about that blue wave now that I've seen some evidence just in primaries and stuff like that of some overwhelming shit, people getting elected and that.
Yeah.
it's polarized. You know what I'm saying? Like very,
not good,
very
man.
polarized.
It's not good. I mean, the rise of... I was listening to Shapiro yesterday's episode or something, and I didn't really pay attention to where it was because apparently there's some crazy criminal-ass stuff that's going to go with it. But another fucking, Democratic socialist got nominated, or won a primary, I think. In another... I mean, this is like the third one that's popped up. I mean, that's not nothing. It doesn't really happen in primaries that often.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm not happy with it. It's kind of terrifying when you really think about it, because what if, I guess, but not that they're going to get any real power, but.
Well, and that's a whole nother, I mean, we can talk about.
But it's like an indicator that,
because
that blue wave or some kind of, there's a ripple effect in the water, and I don't know what it's going to do, whether it's going to be a full-on blue wave like we're thinking, or things are going to get fractious within the two parties, and essentially you'll have it's like caucuses that are in the parties now, but like very popular caucuses that might actually get some power. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a pessimist, or I'm being morose.
Well, no, and I think that the conversation about democratic socialism, that's a whole nother.
It is
because were we to talk about that, I would certainly not wholly endorse democratic socialism, you know what I'm saying? But I also would not
I don't think
wholly throw it away. So
especially if it wasn't...
That's a whole nother... But
actually, I don't even think you'd be scared if, the Democratic Socialist Party got a stronger hold on Washington.
Properly run and not radicalized, you know what I'm saying?
You'd like to see what... You'd want to roll the dice.
With level-headed people at the helm, I could see how that could be all right. With the people that are being put in it now, fucking terrible idea. You know what I'm saying? You can't... As much as I loved Bernie 16 when I was like, fucking Bernie, you know what I'm saying? You can't have 20 Bernies all together, really with power and doing shit with no fucking idea how they're doing it,
Yeah.
You can't have 20 Larry Sharps running around, running the government, figuring out what they're going to do. So
exactly, I can't wait to talk about Larry Sharp with you.
So that's a whole deal. But when it comes to this fucking this hearing, right? I guess there was also your favorite Senator Hirano from Hawaii.
I love her so much.
One of her concerns was, I guess, she was asked, and other members of the Democratic Party were asked to pre-show their questions and their material that they were going to use at the hearing, which she said that had never been done before, right? ChuckGrassley said that it was because she was going to use a video and he had never heard of that happening before. And I heard, which I will have to look up, right? I will fact check this. I heard that he has used a video in a confirmation hearing before, like ChuckGrassley has.
He's Chuck Grassley, man. I'm surprised he remembers how to talk sometimes.
And so
he's up there.
So he said that he had never seen that done before, but like I said, I also saw somewhere that he himself has used a video. So
it would not surprise me.
So man. I'm not sure exactly what the jam is with that.
And the other, I think, hard part about really kind of figuring this stuff out and trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong and all this.
Yeah.
Is I don't think that many people are very, very familiar with the parliamentary procedures of the Senate, the committees and all that. And I mean, I could see why. I don't know a lot of this stuff. This whole controversy has got me really interested in finding out how is this really supposed to work? What are the rules? I want to see, the Constitution of the Senate, essentially. I want the old rules that have been on there, and
And there's also all this back and forth, right? When it comes to the committee confidential documents, after whatever, an hour or so of this going on, Chuck Grassley finally said that there is a process in place to release committee confidential documents, and it's been used by Democrats in the past, right? Just not this time. And so then Kamala Harris came back and she said that they sent a letter 7 days prior to this hearing about releasing committee confidential documents, and they never heard anything back. You know what I'm saying?
And then he said that they did respond to her letter. Or no, that was Cory Booker's letter.
Yeah, that was Cory Booker's letter.
Right.
That was a different letter, right? And they also, because they were trying Cory Booker sent a letter asking why he had not worked with Senator Klobuchar, I believe, because either her or Feinstein was trying to draft a letter that was identical to the one used to request documents for Elena Kagan, right? Because they didn't want any problems to arise. And at some point, the two sides stopped working together, and the letter was never able to be sent out, and so they couldn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so I don't know where that ends. I don't know where that ends, whether or not the Democrats were or were not denied access to these documents. You know, at this point, they are not able to use documents that they certainly should be able to ask Kavanaugh about in some capacity.
And see, that's the fucked up part about this.
They can't even in a closed hearing.
Yeah.
Because he's not allowed to see it.
Exactly. So why not? Like, why is that not okay? And that should be okay for all of these types of situations.
Yeah.
I don't see, this is not a left or right issue. I mean, if you need to know what's in there, I mean, it kind of looks like all you're doing is trying to hide shit.
Well, and ChuckGrassley's like, oh, well, you know, there's fucking social security numbers in there and phone numbers and emails, and that speaks to the same point. Then why are we rushing this? If there's all these documents that we need to see and we just need more time,
redact
then why are we
them.
doing this now?
Get the old black tape out and redact all that shit.
You know what I'm saying? And then when it comes to the 42,000 documents that were released the night before, Chuck Grassley is like, he says, oh, well, all the Republicans had the time to search through all these documents, so I don't know why the Democrats didn't have time. And it was either Leahy,
you know, it's this back and forth.
It was either Leahy or White House that said, oh, that's 7,000 documents per hour that you're saying your staff went through before this hearing in between 11 o'clock last night and 6:30 or whatever this morning. You're telling me that you went through 7,000 documents an hour.
The way he said it was so fucking, like, matter of fact, too. So, yeah, we went through them. You know, we went through all of them last night.
Yeah, which I think is bullshit. I don't believe that your team of fucking 4 clerks or whatever are going through 7,000 documents an hour. And if they are, then they're not doing it with the type of discretion that they should be with, like you said, someone who's going to get a lifetime appointment. This guy could be on the bench for 40 years.
Yeah. And this is another reason why these, I mean, they're not wrong when they say that, you know, I think it was Blumenthal. This is really weird to be like agreeing with all the people I usually have problems with.
It's a strange place to be in, Colin.
It's a strange fucking world because this is, I mean, they're not wrong on this.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of letting partisanship get in the way.
Both of us are struggling with that.
I know. What is this all about? Man, this is partisanship getting in the way of all this crap. If you truly think this guy is the nominee that he should be, non-biased, non-partisan, judicial nominee, you should not be afraid of him not getting confirmed.
Just air it out.
Just put it out there.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, because, yes, even if you have, you know, if the Senate is divided like it is now, they're still going to bicker and fight over all this stuff. But if they don't have any legitimate hits to take, then he'll still get voted in anyways.
Right.
You know? And frankly, if you don't have the power in the Senate to have that majority vote anyways, you know, then the fucking nominee's not going to get in. And that's just the way it is. But let's not corrupt the system any more than it already fucking is.
Yeah.
It's just so blatant. I mean, I'm not going to give anybody else a pass on, you know, I'm not going to give the Kamala Harris and, you know, all the usual grandstanders. I'm not going to give them a pass on that bull crap, but they're not wrong in some of the stuff that they're saying.
No, not at all.
I mean, we all know now, thank God, that Cory Booker is Spartacus.
Jesus Christ.
Thank God.
We'll talk about that more next week. But yeah, if you want to talk about grandstanding, that was probably the worst that I've seen to try and pretend to risk his job. You know what I'm saying? No, that was trash.
We'll get into that one next week, though. Part 2.
Let's see. I'm trying to look over these notes and see if there's anything like standouts that I wanted to talk about.
Let's see. Took
I have
57
some quotes
days.
that Dick Durbin read from, I don't remember where it was from.
Good old Dick.
But he read them from somewhere that said that Kavanaugh's record shows concern about changing life or death values. Dick Durbin showed concern that he'll favor the interest of large businesses. And that was something that Senator Leahy talked about for a long time, too.
That was a common thread, I felt.
He had ruled almost entirely in favor of large businesses almost every time that they had been in front of him, which for me certainly is a concern that I don't.
And I don't think it was his Dick Durbin's question or something, but somebody else had asked him about that, and the answer that I heard him give essentially was that those particular cases were all based off of contract law.
Yeah.
And so, I don't necessarily... It's hard to make that analogy, I guess, because there's just because he's a judge or whatever, not all courts are the same, and because you have to rule on the size of a corporation in most contract cases like that, because they're usually ironclad, built by hardcore lawyers, so that they screw people, but it's still legally somebody signed the contract.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that's the case again because I'm not a fucking lawyer. But that's always a kind of a cloud, a shade that gets cast on a lot of those questions for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think it's a very valid argument if that is the case, but who's to say it really is without reading all the dissents?
Another thing that Dick Durbin talked about, he referenced a black hole in Kavanaugh's record. And those are the documents that are being withheld, right? A black hole in his time at the Bush White House. And he says that at that time, things that were being discussed, same-sex marriage, torture, abortion, presidential power, warrantless wiretapping, he said all of those things were discussed at that time. And it is those documents that would have happened at that time, it's that specific time that they're not being given access to, So it's not even all of the documents from when he was at the White House. It's just that this particular time frame that they're not allowed to have.
It's all the issues that they care about.
Yeah.
And they want to make sure that the precedent that's already set in those particular cases, they want to know that, hey, you're not going to fucking change that, are you? You're not going to be the one vote to overthrow Roe v. Wade, are you?
Right. And one of the bigger concerns also is, like I was talking about, presidential privilege, right? Because we talked about Kavanaugh a little bit when he first got nominated for the seat, right? And at that time, we talked about these concerns with presidential privilege because he served with Martin Starr, who was the special counsel during Bill Clinton and brought him down and all this shit, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, Kavanaugh wrote that Martin Starr, or no, that's not his name, Martin Starr. That's Martin Starr's an actor.
It's Larry? No, I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Something like that. So Starr, he called him an American hero at the time, right? And now he has the opinion, or at least has published the opinion that a lot of people talked about, that he doesn't think that presidents should really be bothered with criminal or civil investigations while they're sitting. Right?
Ken Starr.
That's what it was. Thank you. And that was something that a lot of different senators had a problem with, especially at a time where we have a president that's actively being investigated by the special counsel, right? There are a lot of people that... It was Senator Leahy, I believe, that... Senator Whitehouse, that drew connections between...
his involvement in the Starr case.
Nah, it was... I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it here.
Sorry, you got tons of notes, bro. You take your time to go through them.
Yeah. He outlined the connections between big business Supreme Court cases and the Federalist Society. And then how Kavanaugh got connected with the Federalist Society, which was while he was in the Bush White House. And then something that's debated whether he was or was not put up by the Federalist Society, because I've heard that he was not on either of the lists that the Federalist Society gave to the Trump administration, but I've also heard people say that he was put up by the Federalist Society. So I'm not sure exactly where that lands. I know there was 2 lists of people that were put out by the Federalist Society given to the Trump administration for his consideration for the Supreme Court seat.
I think I'm going to go back because
But I don't know whether or not he really was on one of those lists.
But I vaguely remember Ben Shapiro talking about various lists of people back when this happened.
Yes.
And I wonder, I'm going to dig through there and I wonder if he says what list they are. And
yes.
Because I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I don't know if that was one of the final lists later on. And so, yeah, I'll have to check it out. But he might have some insight there.
And it was Senator Whitehouse that also said that Kavanaugh almost always ruled with big businesses more than 75% of the time, especially when that business had something to do with the Federalist Society.
Interesting.
And so he had, I don't have the numbers that he had, but he had all these fucking percentages of this amount of the time when they're, have to do with these companies, and had a whole list of people that are involved with the Federalist Society, or a list of companies, and he's like, at any time these companies have gone in front of the Supreme Court with anybody that has to do with the Federalist Society,
they always get off.
Like, and that seems really weird. That seems really strange to me that that's the way that works.
Correlation does not equal causation, but
Senator Whitehouse ain't no dumb motherfucker.
No, I mean that is a point, but at the same time, I would say, I mean, what's to say that maybe that is just coincidental numbers? I mean, maybe that's just kind of the way it is in contract law.
They're 70, 90%.
I mean, the old saying, you can't fight City Hall. Yeah. You can't fight big business because they have armies of lawyers. And so 9 times out of 10, I would imagine they always win.
Yeah.
So it would make sense to me. But it's still, I think, something that you should look at. You should get into the decisions and you should go through them and read and try to figure out their reason for whatever vote they cast, or get their opinion on their dissent or their concurring or whatever.
Yeah.
To understand the context behind this, which again, I'm saying we should be able to fucking delay the thing so that we can see this stuff, and then they can actually point out these particular things.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just this he said, she said nonsense.
One last thing I have here that Dick Durbin said, right? And then we can talk about, I got a thing that will take us to the next subject. But a quote that Dick Durbin had from a dissenting opinion that Kavanaugh had wrote, right? And you're going to have to listen really careful to this because this is more for you.
It's more for me.
Yeah.
Shit.
So he wrote, right, and this has to do with, they were talking about Marbury versus Madison, right? Having to do with things that the president can and cannot do, and the separation of powers, and what is whose responsibility, right?
Okay.
So
executive power balance.
Yeah. So this quote, right? And I sat there and I paused it, so I got the whole thing exactly as it was written, right?
Okay.
This is a quote from one of Brett Kavanaugh's dissenting opinions, okay? Under the Constitution, the president may decline to enforce a statute that regulates private individuals when the president deems the statute unconstitutional, even if a court has held or would hold the statute constitutional.
In which industry?
In
I missed
that
part.
Regulates private individuals.
Private individuals.
So that's a law that has to deal with people.
So essentially, so my understanding of that.
Yes.
This sounds batshit crazy. This sounds like the president can basically overrule any individual, take away anyone's rights personally.
Yep. He can say that something is unconstitutional, even if a court has already ruled.
Unconstitutional.
Even if the court has already ruled that it is constitutional, or if you can blatantly see that they would rule that it was constitutional,
which
the president's already said.
My jump to rights.
Yeah.
I wonder what that would be connected to.
That is, and you would have
Guantanamo Bay?
You would have to go back and watch Dick Durbin's opening statement having to do with this, because that would give you more information. But that is a direct quote from Brett Kavanaugh's, one of his dissenting opinions.
What the hell did he have to say to that?
It was an opening statement, so he didn't get to say shit.
Oh. Drop mic on stage.
We will talk about that next week, because I'm sure that Dick Durbin asks about that.
Oh my God. Why didn't I look up Dick? That would have been... Because that's... Hey. You know what I'm talking about, baby.
Oh, yes.
So that was so good. I'm so glad that happened on accident.
That's hilarious.
But I need to look up that.
Like I said, I thought that would really intrigue you.
That, again, I need to look at that, and I need context.
Yeah.
I need context. Proper context.
And then Ted Cruz...
on its own sounds really scary.
Yeah. And then Ted Cruz went, right? And he fucking went on about how the Democrats don't have anything, and that's why they're doing all of this procedural bullshit, and that's why they're focusing on this, and blah, blah, blah. And then talked again about, oh, well, I don't know how they don't have proof if, we've got all of these documents having to do with Brett Kavanaugh. I'm like, well, that's not really what they're talking about, right? It's not the amount of documents. It's this particular set of documents that they're not being allowed, right? No. And it was after that, right? And this will, I think, unless you have anything else to say about this will bring us into our next topic, right?
Let's do it, baby.
Because our next topic will be the op-ed and stuff like that. Right?
Sure, we can do that. Oh, yeah, because we're going to use Homeboy to pivot.
Yes. So, Ted Cruz, right? And, well, this was something that I had kind of brought up to you earlier this week, okay? So, after Ted Cruz does his thing, they go on a lunch break, right? Brett Kavanaugh gets up from his table. And actually... Senator Feinstein recognized all of these people in the audience, like, before they continued on, and one of them was one of the fathers of a child that was killed at Parkland, right?
Yes.
So, Brett Kavanaugh
gets the video.
Yes, me too. Twice. Actually, like 5 times. But, so, Brett Kavanaugh gets up from his table, and... Homeboy, I don't remember what his last name is.
That's all right.
He walks up from his seat in the audience, right, and comes around all of the rows, and then comes up to the front and addresses Brett Kavanaugh and says, "My name is so-and-so. My daughter was killed at Parkland, and, I want to do whatever." And he has his hand out, right? And he has his hand out. There's a video of it. Everybody can go and see it because we're going to talk about this motherfucking video. He has his hand out. Brett Kavanaugh's looking at him for probably 7 seconds, and he's like listening to him talk, and at the same time turns around and has a security person that comes and turns him, and they walk away.
Yeah.
Right? The internet flips the fuck out because Brett Kavanaugh does not shake the hand of this guy, right? He turns away and moves on, right? And then I saw a video where this is the video, right? And I saw it, and I was like, the first time I saw it, I said, it doesn't look like he fucking just boldly ignores this guy, right? So I saw this thing that Vice posted, and they're like, essentially Brett Kavanaugh's a piece of shit because he turned his back on this guy when he tried to shake his hand, right?
Yeah.
And so I posted a comment on there, and I was like, this bullshit. Like, this has already been proven to not be true. Like, I already seen the video, like, whatever. I was truly fucking shocked at the response that I got, right?
Did people just fucking hate on you?
The things that people were willing to assume about me, like one person was like, yeah, just like Trump didn't make fun of the disabled reporter. People see whatever they want to see so as to not feel like an idiot. I'm like, well, I certainly would never argue. I certainly would never argue that he didn't make fun of that disabled reporter. So that's a really interesting thing for you to assume that I carry that opinion. You know what I'm saying? And it was like a lot of shit like that. So I went back and I watched the video again because I was like, maybe I'm fucking wrong, right? And after having watched it again, I certainly would acknowledge that he did have enough time to shake that dude's hand. There was enough time there for him to do that, and then did get turned away, I feel, by a security guard, right? That the dude was like, yeah, let's go, But he did certainly have enough time to shake the person's hand, right?
You want to know my theory on the whole thing?
So this raised a whole nother issue.
I'll tell you afterwards,
right?
yeah.
Because this raised a whole nother issue for me that I'm like, he did have enough time, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, in what fucking world is it Brett Kavanaugh's job to shake some dude's fucking hand that he's never met before, right?
And
Who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you that like, why? You know what I'm saying? Just because you want to shake your hand, why is he required to shake your hand? Because your daughter was murdered? For what reason? You know what I'm saying? Because that's not his fault. He didn't do that. That's not for what reason is he required to shake your hand? Does it make him maybe kind of a dick that he didn't? Sure. But in what world is he required to shake your fucking hand? None at all. No. You can't walk up to me and force your hand in my fucking face. I'm not going to shake your hand. I'll tell you to go fuck yourself.
Exactly.
So I don't understand why the uproar came about because a man whose daughter was murdered was turned down by a man who didn't want to shake his hand.
Mm-hmm. I can see how you're frustrated with that. And especially because, I mean, I hate to say it, but in the reply section like that, you should hit it and get out.
Oh my God, it was horrible.
You don't look at that shit, dude. That's rule number one, okay? It's different if it's our shit.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to engage with our audience. On fucking Vice? Was that their actual...
Vice News.
Vice News. On Vice News. On their Instagram.
Maybe it was just Vice. Yeah, it wasn't Vice News, it was just Vice. It was Vice. That's why it was...
Bro, I'm just saying. You got to stay out of there, man. There be snakes in there, brother.
It was bad.
Yeah, those people are fucking pieces of shit, man.
And I eventually went back
and deleted the world of the dark
not because
troll.
I went back and deleted the comment, not because I felt like I was being bullied or I was like actively upset about it, but because I was just sick of getting fucking
notifications.
Notifications of shit that people were talking to me. I was like, I'm so over this. I just would rather no.
Well, I'm glad you got out.
And it brought together a larger deal for me. That day that happened was just a tough day for me, I guess, because I also saw a bunch of other shit. It was the same shit. It was the same day that the Colin Kaepernick thing happened. Right?
Oh,
and
God.
So I also saw all this other shit that was just so fucking blatantly racist, that some shit specifically that, as subtle as this might be, right? But that one dude that was verified, by the way, I can't tell you who it was or anything because
all them blue check mark motherfuckers,
right? But said Colin Kaepernick is the face of Nike, Jay-Z is the face of this, and this person is the face of this. What are you gonna wear now, white people?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so as dumb as that is, right? That's fucking racist.
It's super racist.
And the thing that irritates the shit out of me the most, right? Because that itself doesn't bother me. The thing that bothers me is that I know it's racist because if I wrote that exact same fucking thing, but backwards, what the fuck would happen to me?
You're a fucking racist.
What would happen to me? But what are you going to wear now, black people? Really? Do you think because that would work just fine for me, right? And then
I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that on the opening of the video this week.
So then, right? because I know I'm not gonna say anything because I'm already upset. I'm already whatever, right? I'm just gonna go and look in the comments and see if maybe somebody else has said well, this is racist, right? So you do. There is somebody in there who eventually will say, well, that's racist, right? And then a bunch of people will be like, oh, can't you fucking accept hyperbole when you see it? Can't you just accept that this guy is just exaggerating?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck you. Because again, if I said that same shit and then I tried to defend it with, oh, it's just hyperbole. It's just an example. It's just a literary device for me explaining what's going on.
John, you're trying to justify the social media logic of the culture war.
It made me legitimately depressed.
That makes sense.
Where I was...
That shit is toxic, man.
I was at a point, right, where I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, I understand fully that social media is not real life, right? Yes, please. And so I said, I understand fully that social media is not real life, right? I know that. And I was like, but I also know that the things that I'm seeing here, are reflective of the opinions of people in real life. Even if they would never say this shit to my face, I know that these people who are saying, what are you going to wear now, white people, and do all this shit.
Which beer?
Let me try this Autumn Brown Ale.
Okay. You're my guinea pig today. I haven't had any of this yet.
I know that those people, like I said, even if they wouldn't say that to my face, they're willing to just put these opinions out, just put them out there. Right?
People, the social media people, man. I'm telling you.
I told Jordan, I said, as somebody who genuinely kind of feels like maybe it might be my purpose here to use my voice to try and change people's minds and open their minds and spread logical, objective thinking. Mm-hmm. It makes me feel so fucking hopeless. To see that and see that it's got 100,000 likes and 50,000 retweets, and there's this many people that are willing to mindlessly spread this ideology that is poisonous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like,
it's
why?
fucking depressing,
what's
man.
What's even the fucking point? What's the fucking point of anything that I'm doing here? If this is what people want, if we get X amount of listens per week, and this many fucking people are Yeah, fuck you, white people. If you don't like Colin Kaepernick, you're a racist.
I'm just saying.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, in what world are those two things the same? That you don't like Colin Kaepernick, so you don't like black people? In what world is that the same thing? So I fucking love Jay-Z. I fucking love Jay-Z. You tell me I don't love Jay-Z because I don't love what Colin Kaepernick is doing with himself? Yeah. I think that's bullshit. I think that's fucking... That's racist, son. That is racist.
Yes, man.
I do not get that.
But why do you do this? It's because that still exists, Don.
Yeah.
You never stop doing this. I'm thinking you need to read your JBP again.
I started. Oh, this is really good. You want to try that?
I do. I'm really excited about the Brown. What can Brown do for you today?
You're just full of quotes today. I love it. You know, it really fucking...
that's good.
Yeah.
I do love a nice brown ale, though.
This shit really had me down. You know, that I was like, I just can't believe that people are so willing to take an unobjective look at what's going on, right? Especially just for an example of that Kavanaugh situation with him shaking the dude's hand. Like, yeah, maybe he didn't shake his hand when he had the opportunity, but why the fuck should he? Just because this man wants that? What about fucking Brett Kavanaugh? What about him and his choices as an individual? If he doesn't want to shake that man's hand, he doesn't fucking have to.
Never mind that, but take into account
in the fucking Senate
all
building.
the thing that's going on here. He is massively unpopular on one side. He's in a very interesting position. There's a lot of people angry. All the fucking protesters that day.
70 people arrested that
right?
day. 70 people arrested on the first day.
And you know what it sounds like whenever somebody walks in and out of that room? You can't hear shit, man.
Yeah.
Brett Kavanaugh looks up at this guy. He thinks he's about to get shot, and the guy pushes his hand out and starts making mouth movements. He can't hear anything. He's probably scared shitless,
right?
Thinking he's going to get shot right in front of his family, and then the security pulls him away.
And
what's to say that that's not possible? That seems relatively logical,
right?
If you ever have watched a hearing before or listened to it.
And I'm sure that most people, I'm sure that you will, but most people will not respect this particular part of the opinion, right? It's the same thing that bothers me about those 70 people that were arrested, right? What right do you think you have to interrupt Senate hearings for your own fucking agenda? You know what I'm saying? Like, you came here as a guest to watch what's going on here. Why do you think that it's your right to get up and try and talk to this dude while he's in the middle of this whole fucking process? Because you're here as a guest. You're here to watch. You're a citizen, right? Why do you think that you get to do that? Because 70 people got arrested that day for trying to do the same thing. You know, maybe they weren't as nice as you are. Maybe they couldn't get up to the front to try and shake his hand. But why do you think that you're allowed to do that? You know what I'm saying? You're there as a guest and you're violating the rules in the Senate. That's why he got turned around by a security guard. It's because you're not allowed to do that. He's not supposed to talk to anybody. He's supposed to get in and get the fuck out.
It's like running out onto a baseball field.
You can't do that shit. You can't do that shit. You know? I don't understand why that dude thinks that, again, it's as cold as it might sound. Because your daughter was murdered in a school shooting, that puts you above any of these other people in this room right now. Because it doesn't. No. That doesn't make you more special. That doesn't make you have more opportunities and more rights than anybody else in this room. I am so incredibly sorry for the loss that he suffered, and I can't imagine what that's like. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't make you better than me. No. I can't go there and just walk up to Brett Kavanaugh and just decide to try and shake his hand and say whatever the fuck I want. Because I'll probably get tackled by 3 different Capitol Police while I try and walk up there.
Probably.
So I don't understand why, because this dude is part of some champion movement for the left, that he has some rights more than anybody else that's there.
You're not wrong.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
And this is because I've been thinking a lot about, or in the terms of like the culture war, right? You know, and I actually start to look at this stuff now as warlike. There's tactics, there's strategy,
absolutely,
and it's very interesting to watch unfold. And this kind of stuff is, these are battles on the battlefield of the culture war. That's the way I see that. And there is no fucking logic in all these culture war battles. There's none. There's one side that can be kind of logical, can be, tries to look at things objectively and, think things through. There's another side that is off on one team, and then there's another side that's off on the other team.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now. And these three sides are kind of nipping and fighting at each other. It's essentially Democrats, Republicans, and then, free thinkers, independent thinkers, people that call balls and strikes. They can call themselves whatever the fuck they want to.
Yeah.
But, you got two superpowers, and you got a third world country that's running the real resistance, which is, it's really fucking sad to think about, but it's, the resistance that, say, you and I are a part of in this culture war, just by the nature of being commentators or whatever, is the fact that we're just trying to push objective reasoning, thoughtful conversation, and let's think about some shit here. Let's actually think about something and try to come to a logical conclusion, where the other sides are just fucking throwing haymakers. But it's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Fuck, look at the French underground, bro. I'm not going to even hold a candle to that. That's a terrible analogy. But
Jordan,
that's with the word resistance going around so much, which will hit in the op-ed, it makes sense for me. Like, to think of kind of, the IDW and, all the different people that are out there trying to call balls and strikes as, that's the real resistance. We're trying to fix both fucked up teams over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, just stay out of there, man. Just stay out.
Yeah.
It's fucking.
No, I'm gonna.
I'm trying to what's the quote? There be, I don't know, fucking dragons or something out there. Don't go in there. It's fucking poison.
What's the swamp that you get stuck in Candyland?
Candyland?
Yeah, like the chocolate swamp or something like that.
That sounds delicious.
Chocolate swamp.
I want to go to the
stay out of the chocolate
pudding swamp.
Stay out of the chocolate swamp. So, yeah, no, I can dig that. So the molasses swamp. That's what
it's chocolate swamp. Sounds
even stickier. So
yeah, we don't want to go to the chocolate swamp, Don.
No,
that sounds terrible.
So we can touch on the op-ed and
the book.
Yes,
the wonderful book.
Yes.
I don't know. First of all, what do you want to hit first, op-ed or book?
Let's hit the op-ed real quick, because the op-ed and the book dropped on the same day, right? So the
calculated?
The opinion editorial is what that stands for.
Mm-hmm.
Was posted on the New York Times. I think it was Wednesday.
Something like that. They did the podcast the next day and had the editor of the op-ed section.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the New York Times published an anonymous op-ed article that is supposedly authored by a senior official in the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Who said a lot of different things.
Most of which we've already heard before.
Yes. One of them that they were part of a resistance inside of the Trump administration that was doing their best. Do you have the quote right there?
Well, I think it's just the title of the piece was, "I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration."
There you go. So,
the subtitle, if I may, "I work for the president, but like-minded colleagues and I have vowed to thwart the parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations."
There you go. So that's the intent, right? Is to allow
supposedly
the good things, right? Because they said there was some good shit like the tax plan and all this, tax cuts, maybe like 3 things on there that they said were actually like legitimate good things that they had tried to shepherd forward, and other things that had been done to directly contradict and hinder President Trump's attempts to push his agenda forward.
Mm-hmm.
And they even said at one point that there was discussions in the cabinet of invoking the 25th Amendment, which allows a certain percentage of the president's cabinet to come to Congress and say that they don't have faith in the president's abilities to rule, and he can essentially be impeached, but through a different type of process.
Yeah, because there's two ways to do that. It can be his cabinet or the essentially the House, right?
Yes. So it's just another way to bring forward the articles of impeachment.
If there's fewer people, easier to do, essentially.
Right. And obviously hasn't been done. But if the things discussed in this article are true, it shows, a lot of different stuff. One of them, obviously, shocking division within the Trump administration itself.
I don't know if I would 100% say division. I look at that more of hardliners, loyalists, and then actual, Republicans, conservatives, maybe.
Yeah.
They might have they might share some of the same
over
ideals.
Trump and Trump over party.
Yes. I think that's a good way to phrase it. It's that two-track administration that everybody's talking about these days.
Well, so even that, I would call that a division. That there's people that are more loyal to the president and some people that are not more loyal to the president than they are to the party themselves, and
it's
because
probably a perfect definition of a division.
They said specifically that they were loyal to the country.
Yes.
They wanted what was best for the country, not for either party or not for the president, but what is best for the country itself, and that's, I believe they said in the article that they said that they believe that is the job of the people who work in the administration, is to be for the country and not for anything else, Yeah,
100%. That's why you should that's the only reason you should be in that fucking job.
Yeah.
But, of course, that's not always the case, just due to the nature of how government is run, appointing your own cabinet and all that.
Yeah.
You can just bring your homies,
right?
People that are loyal to you and not anybody else. But I did notice that going through that, because it's a pretty short essay.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it's most stuff that we've already heard. If you've been paying attention, most of it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. I did get a hold of that letter that they were talking about that he pulled off the president's desk and didn't let him sign. I got a copy of that one. That was interesting.
From CNN? I have the article pulled up here, but I don't have the actual letter pulled up.
I think it's on CNN. Yeah, it's a photocopy of a memo in a folder that just says, it says on the tab of the folder in Sharpie, keep. It's pretty funny. But anyways, it's interesting. You read a part in there about Russia and how they're saying that the president was reluctant to expel, the diplomats and all the issues that we've had in Russia and all the penalties that we've seen the administration come forth with that kind of contradict Trump's Twitter feed.
The things that he's saying, absolutely.
Yeah. I think all you got to do is compare the two, what the administration has actually done and put through and what the president tweets, and you can find out what situations they were like, now let's just hold on to that one. Maybe he'll forget about that one. Or, hey, let's somebody accidentally lose this and we'll have to reprint it after we find it in a week.
Yeah.
Or something.
Motherfucker.
Oh, did you lose your cherry?
God damn it.
You poor guy. Poor Don. That's I don't know. The weed abuse doesn't sound as good as alcohol abuse did. Like somebody spills a beer at a party, it's like, oh, dude, that's alcohol abuse. But it doesn't sound as good with weed. Cannabis abuse. I don't like it.
No.
But yeah, I just, like I said, I don't get what the issue is here. It was a big deal, but I kind of anticipated all this was happening already.
Well, I think that we had hoped that this was happening already. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when you look at just like I said, you look at the two differences, and the president says stuff. He gets on Twitter and he blows his, just throws his thought out. Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought I've had too many lewd comments already, but
never too many on Salt of the Streets.
Absolutely not. I'll keep that in mind. But anyways, but yeah, then you look at the things like the administration actually done compared to what the president just says on his Twitter feed. And I've just always assumed that there's, his administration, John Kelly, all these, they do one thing and they just kind of have to keep him
in line,
corralled,
yeah,
as best they can.
Which just that's fucked up. If that's the case, then he shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
you know, if that's the case where he's not actually running shit, then he shouldn't be there.
We got a leader, man. We got the leader we needed because he's from the right party, but we don't want to let him loose. Can we just lock him in the house? Shut off the phone? Can we just do that? We can't do that? Fuck. All right.
It's terrible.
I know. But it's also, I mean,
do you have any reason?
Who's the president these days anyways, but just whoever the party that's in power wants to put at the head. Just some dude to fill a chair half the time.
Do you have any reason to believe that this is not a genuine op-ed by somebody in the Trump administration?
I have no reason to think that.
Because there's
except for the fact that, I mean, unless they're kind of dumb, whoever did this, if they are truly a part of the administration, that's really stupid.
Yeah.
Unless you wrote that motherfucker on a typewriter in like somewhere halfway across the country in the woods in a cabin somewhere, and you just mailed an anonymous letter, something like, you better cover your fucking tracks because your ass is getting fired.
People at the New York Times know who it is. You know, they said that the editor said that the New York Times knew who it was.
Oh, sorry about that.
There you go.
Keep it going for you. Sorry about that.
And there are people, specifically always Trumpers, you know, that are saying that, you know, the failing New York Times is making shit up again. And
he capitalizes failing, too, when he writes New York Times, by the way.
Right, like it's the title. Like it's they're called the failing New York Times.
Yeah.
I told Case Bowles that I don't have any reason to believe that the New York Times would not be honest about what's going on here. You know, I don't have any reason to believe that this is not genuine.
No, because there's... Like I said, I think there's
not
enough
worth
people
the risk.
that just...
You know, it's not worth the risk that they put out there lying about something. And I mean, because if they lie about this, if they're caught lying about it, they're done. The New York Times is done. Like if
I would say
doctoring an op-ed, you know.
Yeah, I would say that to me wouldn't make sense for the New York Times, because why would they do that? Like I said, the op-ed is nothing new. It's all stuff that it's all rumors and conjecture that we've already heard from Michael Wolff's book and everyone else. I mean, why would they even, you know, think that, oh, well, we should just write this and put it out as somebody anonymous or something? It just doesn't make sense to me, really.
Yeah. Well, now they may, or, you know, all those things may or may not be validated by this op-ed. But again, I don't have any reason to question that. Yeah. That it's the case.
Do you think it validated if and when they find said individual?
I think that it would depend. Yeah, I mean, if it's somebody that, because now, you know, there's all kinds of allegations that it's fucking Mike Pompeo and that it's all these people in the administration.
I don't think they're stupid enough to do that. Especially Mike Pompeo.
So I know you guys are gonna watch me do this. I just found the world's biggest fucking spider.
Oh, you saw?
I really want to trap it so I can show you how big it is.
Ooh, we're gonna get a giant spider.
It's huge.
Oh, is it in here? Oh, yeah. It must have rained yesterday or last night, because it's the studio is in the garage. And
yeah,
so
it definitely did rain last night.
Is it big? I can't wait to see this giant spider. But we had a bat the other day fly into our building.
That is a big spider.
That's a big one.
It's a good one.
Wow. No. We here, let me open up the door for you. That thing can just go fuck right off.
That's pretty much all that I have in regards to the op-ed itself. Do you want to move on to the book, Fear? Or do you have more about the op-ed itself?
I mean, I don't really have that much on the op-ed other than Trump's reaction to it.
Yeah.
That, to me, was really the news about the op-ed. The op-ed came out, the fucking bombshell. No. It's whatever, man. That's okay. Another one that just... I mean, if we get many more of these, I might really actually start believing some of them.
Right.
But until then, they're all not necessarily credible, although they all make sense. Mm-hmm. And even then, it's just like, okay, whatever. We understand. I'm pretty sure we've been knowing this is happening anyways. But Trump's reaction to, his tweets, for example, calling for the New York Times to, turn this individual into the government.
On a matter of national security.
Yeah, he tweeted, does the so-called senior administration official, in quotes, really exist? Or is it just the failing, capital failing, New York Times with another phony source, question mark? If the, all caps, gutless, anonymous person, which, by the way, Trump cannot pronounce anonymous. Ominous about the guy, the person does indeed exist. The Times must, for national security purposes, turn him or her over to the government at once, with the exclamation mark. And then right after that, all caps, treason. No,
ridiculous.
Motherfucker,
Treason?
No, treason?
I'm sorry. Isn't that called? Free press.
Freedom of the press, bro.
Right.
It's some dude that's talking shit on you, and they published it in a newspaper.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily
Don't get your panties
call
in a
that
bunch.
treason.
No. Treason?
That's ridiculous.
Just fire him.
Right. Find out who it is and fire him.
Yeah. You got the NSA at your hands.
Investigate that shit.
Just dig through all your employees' emails, because the president can, according to Brett Kavanaugh, strip away somebody's rights. He can deem them unconstitutional.
Yep.
So why not strip away that Fourth Amendment and dig through your fucking computer and find out who wrote that shit?
I thought you would enjoy that.
I don't think I enjoy it, but I mean, I enjoy it on another level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very morose individual.
So let's talk about Bob Woodward's book. That's his name, right? Bob Woodward?
Bob Woodward.
So, Woodward
writer
and Bernstein.
Let's give him some content.
Yeah.
Woodward Bernstein.
Woodward and Bernstein are two men that played a large hand that led the free journalist part of bringing down Richard Nixon.
Yes.
They exposed Watergate and, all of this stuff. Bob Woodward, Carl Bernstein. You can see the movie or the book, All of the President's Men, which details all of these things they met with.
Award-winning film, too.
Yes. And it's
Robert Redford.
It's a great movie.
It's a great fucking
Dustin
movie.
Hoffman.
Yes.
It's an incredible movie.
Wait, is it Robert Redford, though?
I think so.
He plays Woodward, I think, right?
so.
Okay.
And so they meet with an informant, right? A private informant by the name of Deep Throat.
Or Kermit the Frog, if you watch Family Guy.
Yeah. And so, with his help, they're able to connect the dots to like I said, expose Watergate and help bring down Richard Nixon for exactly what was going on there. He has since written a book on every president since Nixon, and it is worth noting, has never been found to be lying in any reporting or any book, any publication ever.
Kind of strange, isn't it?
Super weird.
Super weird.
Right.
But now this one's just lies. Another phony book.
Yep. So he put out a book that, like we said, is called Fear. I believe it's then the subtitle is Trump in the White House or something like that.
Let's see. Oh, wait. That's not my op-ed page. Fear. Trump in the White House.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So he wrote a book that is even more salacious than the op-ed article. I think this is the real story, the book itself.
It's worse.
And I didn't buy Fire and Fury because I thought it was bullshit, but I'm buying this fucking book because I'm reading this
Yes.
book. I trust Bob Woodward to be telling the truth, right? So he detailed all kinds of crazy shit that has gone on inside of the Trump White House. Everything from a mock testimony with Robert Mueller, in which the lawyer then says, like, you can't meet with Robert Mueller because it's either that or you're going to be in an orange jumpsuit. Like, because it was so, the things that Donald Trump said were so racked with perjury and lies that it is not legally safe to put him in front of the special counsel.
That's why they said they could give him I think that was last week maybe. They might give him written answers, or they'd accept written answers to questions. I was like, oh, that's good. I don't know if I'd have Giuliani draft them either, but anyways, I was just going to tell you, September 11th, 2018 is when the book releases. You can pre-order it now.
It comes out on September 11th?
Yes.
That's really funny.
I don't know about funny, Don, but
it's ironic.
It is.
And
it's only let me see, a hardcover for when it comes out. If you pre-order right now, $17.99
That's pretty good.
on Amazon Prime, $19.59 on audiobook.
I'm gonna go to Barnes and Noble. I got a membership there, so I get like 15% off all the books that I buy there.
That's good because they rape you in pricing. I'm just saying, it's bad. You go to Barnes and Noble and you scan that fucking book price with the app on Amazon, you could buy it for like $5 cheaper every time. And well, yeah, you just can't have it right now, I guess.
Yeah,
that's a problem for me. If I want a book, I go to Barnes & Noble. I'm not leaving without a fucking book. I need something.
That's how I got that whole stack of books. That's how I got all these books, all those books, all the books in my house. That's how I got all those.
You've seen all my books, right? They're kind of scattered around now, but I used to have like 4 times more. And I was like, I got to unload, man.
Yeah.
Gave them all away.
Do you have more details there on the book itself? The things
no. It's just, and right now it's just kind of hearsay. And since it comes out so soon, I don't really want to give my whole tidbits on what I think of the book.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is a preview at best.
So maybe we should buy it and read it.
That's what I'm planning on doing.
And then we'll talk about it.
Let's fucking do it.
Because even if it is hearsay, again, I am not by any means willing to say that Woodward's lying because this would be the first time ever that he's done that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he would do that, just because Donald Trump. Like that doesn't hold weight for me. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't think that would make sense at all.
I know. I gotta believe that he's telling the truth. I mean, unless someone comes out and says something counter to that, I'm gonna operate that this is how it is. Like that's unless someone comes out and they're like, I am one of these people and I was here for this conversation and that's not how it happened.
Yeah.
Then I'm not.
Well, I think
I am buying it.
Who was it? The Secretary of Defense, Mattis? He had, I think it was him. Did I put it down in my notes?
Yeah,
I think he actually put out a statement and said that, he never, like, do I have it in here? The quote? Oh no, that's the guy who stole the thing off his desk.
Well, he was named though, so I expect him to come out and say I never said that.
Yeah,
because he's named in the book itself. I'm talking about any of the numerous people that were quoted on Deep Background. They can say what position they have, but not who they are, or that they work in the White House. Like one of those people to come out and say, I was here for this conversation, and that's not how it happened. I expect anybody named in the book that has to deal with Trump to say, that is not how that fucking happened.
That fucking, intern that's sitting in the corner, shredding papers.
Yeah.
And just angry dog Trump
one of the allegations
jumps in the door and starts fucking complaining about shit or something.
One of the allegations in there is that Donald Trump was talking about Jeff Sessions, right? Who he talks so much shit about. And he says, Jeff Sessions is mentally retarded. He's just a simple Alabama Southern boy who couldn't be a one family country lawyer back home. You know what I'm saying?
And yet he was a senator for how many years?
And the tough thing about that, right? The shitty thing about President Trump being who he is it takes me about 2 seconds to be able to imagine him saying some shit like that when Jeff Sessions isn't in the room.
Yeah.
So why would I think you wouldn't say that? You're out here willing already to make fun of a disabled reporter and then say that you didn't do it, And even though I would say that never happened, that's because fuck me. But you're out here doing shit like that, and you expect me to not believe that you called Jeff Sessions a retard when you have talked so much shit about him publicly, about how fucking weak he is, and you never should have put him in there, and you never should have done all this stuff.
Not to mention, we know how he talks in private.
Know what I'm saying? And you're here by yourself with some other people who you probably chop it up with all the time, You expect me to believe that you didn't say that shit. Yeah, right, son. That's the other half of this coin of you being so out there and so edgy, and don't care about what anybody's doing. Is that, of course, I'm going to assume that it's not a doctored video of you saying, grab him by the pussy,
Yeah.
No, I don't think that. Because of all the other shit that you've said, I don't think that somebody made that up.
After all the shit you talk, I can't not believe you talk shit on somebody.
Exactly.
Period.
So I don't buy that. You know what I'm saying? That they're coming out and saying, like I said, I expect anybody who's named in there to deny anything that happened in there. Just like Rex Tillerson said, well, I never called him a fucking idiot. I never said that. Even though he probably fucking did,
We know he did.
He's telling people, I don't know. I just don't.
Because these are guys that kind of have their shit together, and they see this dude and they're like, I gotta fucking work for this dumb asshole.
Yes.
We all know he's a dumb asshole. We all know that.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking simple, man. And I don't see why that kind of shit isn't real. I don't. But I don't see, for protecting their job purposes. Yeah, man. I didn't fucking say that.
Absolutely.
And so, Mattis came out and put that, I never once uttered those words,
right.
All that stuff. And I do not believe that. But I give him a pass on putting out the statement because I know what he's doing. It's like, well, of course everybody's going to talk shit about their bosses, right? That's just, it's what happens, man. But, you're never ever going to say that shit to his face. It doesn't mean that you mean any of that shit. It's just, people talk shit, man. It's what they do.
You're never going to tell your boss you're getting high at work.
No.
No, I wasn't doing that.
Fuck no.
I don't do that. That's crazy.
I worked with a guy who got fired for that once.
Really?
Yeah, for real. It was like my first job, too. It's crazy.
People used to, when I worked at the call center, I used to get fucked up in my car at lunchtime. And, on all my breaks, I was taking fucking dabs and shit because I just hated
that's
my
the
job
call
so
center,
much.
bro. You need that.
We had homeboys that were bringing rigs and stuff, and they were just leaving them in their car and leaving their cars unlocked, so you could just grab your wax and just go in their car.
Just roast it.
Yeah. Was fucked up.
That's funny as fuck. But,
only way to live.
If you got a fucking, essentially a call center job or telemarketer job, I think those dudes get a pass, man.
Horrible.
I can't imagine having to be, or one of those people that, and there's somebody out there that's listening, and he knows who he is. If you're one of those people that works at one of those, kind of shady sales businesses, and where it's in that real gray area, but just still legal to basically steal money out of people. It's you got to do what you got to do, but that's sleazy as fuck,
Yeah,
it's the same type of thing. But anyways, like I said, I don't want to pass too much judgment because right now it's just I'm commenting on what people are saying.
We just got to read this motherfucking book.
Exactly. So let's do that fucking shit. I'm going to order it right now.
I'm going to buy it at Barnes & Noble when it comes out.
Ooh, actually, you know what? I'm not going to buy it because I have a credit on my Audible. I think I'm going to get the audiobook.
You're going to audiobook it? God damn, you're going to finish it way before I do.
Sucker!
You motherfucker. God damn it, Colin.
Have I ever gifted you an audiobook on Audible before? Because I think I can do that.
Do it.
I'm going to try. I don't know if it's one per new user or I don't know. I'll have to figure it out.
And I'll buy that and then I'll beat it. I'll finish it before you do.
Yes, you will. You'll hammer through it in a day and a half. It'll take me 2 weeks. Except unless of course Elon Musk is on Joe Rogan, then everything stops.
Oh my god, that was crazy.
I wish everything. No.
Yeah.
I was at the theater, at the symphony. That night.
Okay,
but,
so
word.
You want to move on?
Yeah, but that's all I got on the book from Woodward.
Fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trump in the White House.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to move on to Colin Kaepernick and Nike now?
Yo, just one quick little aside.
Tell me.
That letter that the guy took off his desk.
Stole off Trump's desk.
Yo, do you know what that was? Did you see that?
No, I have not looked at the letter itself.
It was like a pulling out of the free trade agreement we have with South Korea. Yeah. Basically pulling out and saying, hey, if you want to renegotiate, we can do that. But we're out of here within 180 days.
That's
and
dumb.
so he never got to sign that.
That's good. That's really good.
Dodged the fucking bullet there, homie.
Yeah.
All those affordable Hyundais would be not affordable anymore. Anyways. Fucking Colin Kaepernick.
Yes.
Look at it. I don't know if you can see this picture. Have you seen this picture of Colin Kaepernick?
Ooh, with the rose?
The rose?
The cornrows.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking his outfit. Look at this. What is this jacket?
You know what I'm saying?
He looks like he's a prince in the Taj Mahal.
Fashion is crazy out here.
He looks
nowadays.
fancy as fuck.
Fancy as fuck. So Colin Kaepernick and Nike, they signed a new
ad campaign deal.
ad campaign endorsement for I don't know what the numbers are on it.
I can't find them.
But so they put out a new ad that aired in the third quarter of the Falcons game, the Falcons-Eagles game. And the ad was really good. Like, it was a great commercial. I don't know if you've ever seen the commercial that LeBron James did after he left Cleveland the first time to go to Miami. That was like, that's a good one. I'll show that to you afterwards. But that's
like
a good
get you in the feels type of good, or
yeah. It's like inspirational and like it's good. It's not about like America's fucking terrible. Like, it's about like reaching your potential and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do anything. And like,
I listened to it.
Yeah, like it's a really good commercial. So
I listened to it, but I didn't see. I don't know what the images are.
We'll watch them both afterwards.
There's two.
No, that one and then the LeBron James commercial.
Okay,
we'll watch both of those before I leave because those are good commercials and they're like 2 minutes long.
Nice.
And so there's all kinds of people that are upset, right? That first day that it was announced, and there's the first picture of Colin Kaepernick, and it says like, believe in something even if it means giving up
sacrificing everything.
That's what it is. And so there's all kinds of people. The same people who don't like Colin Kaepernick are fucking burning their Nikes and cutting the swoosh off their socks and doing all this stuff. You know that is dumb because it doesn't affect the company at all. It is dumb. It doesn't affect the company at all because you've already purchased those items. You
I hope people understand
them
that
in your possession currently, and all you're doing is losing a pair of shoes.
Yep.
That is stupid because you probably paid $100 for those pair of shoes, if not more. So I don't know why you're wasting your money. The other thing is that we've talked about Colin Kaepernick before. You know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on it, and then I will reflect off of that.
This might surprise you.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Okay. My entire take on this thing is a private citizen got hired to do a job by a corporation who's going to exploit the political war that's going on right now to make money.
Yeah.
Some dude just got a job because some corporation knew they could make some money.
Right. I
don't give a fuck. Whatever. You know, I don't, as far as the audio in the commercial, because I was listening to it on a podcast, I think. And, I mean, he doesn't have a terrible narrating voice.
Right.
But, I mean, it's nothing special, you know.
It's no Salt of the Streets, but
no, absolutely not. Or you can get like I don't know, just a sympathetic voice or something like that. Or, you know, somebody like fucking Joe Rogan who's inspirational.
Yeah.
If you want to inspire people. But it was just kind of to me. But that's fine. It doesn't need to be good. It doesn't need to be a good... You know, it doesn't need to be the best commercial ever, is what I'm saying. It's a good commercial, like you said. But it doesn't need to be the best ever. It's going to serve its purpose just because they hired the dude. But I think it's dumb for people to get outraged by it. And I think it's super exploitative to take advantage of the culture war like that. But it's fucking Nike, man. They're like, their entire industry is based off of unethical work practices.
Right.
That's the way all these places are. So it doesn't surprise me. They're like, hey, we got a great way to make some money. Let's hire that motherfucker, give him a bunch of money, put him in our commercials, and
give him his own clothing line, and everything will be cool.
Yeah, the clothing line, I'm kind of like, well, good luck. But
now it's a Colin Kaepernick clothing line.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see how well it does. You know,
it didn't really hurt the stock so much.
So she's good.
She's good. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Boop, boop. Yeah, because I pulled up the stock price. It dropped pretty significantly the day the commercial. Was it the day the commercial dropped? Was it on Tuesday?
I think so.
Okay.
Their online sales jumped 31% after the Kaepernick thing went live.
Because their overall, well, that's good.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why. Let's see, Tuesday night. It was like a half hour drop, and then it kind of leveled out again. But it went from like 82.18 a share, dropped down to 79, which was that's a pretty fucking steep drop.
Yeah,
just like that. But then they've since kind of come back But anyways, it hasn't really hurt the company stock price. They've got to be making money hand over fucking fist.
Yeah.
You know? And, I mean, hey, they're employing, you know, like 12-year-old kids over in a third world country. That's wonderful for them, right?
Yeah.
But whatever. That's why I don't, like, buy into that shit. But they have an increase in sales.
Yeah.
That's sad, man. But whatever. It is what it is. I just don't really give a fuck about it. Everybody's all fucking up in arms and stuff, and I'm just like, dude, whatever, man. Let it go. He's not in football anymore. Just I see what it is.
Actively
it's exploitative, and I just don't give a fuck.
Actively involved in a lawsuit with the NFL.
Ooh. See, that kind of makes me upset now.
So
I didn't know that part.
That was so
because they're going to air it during an NFL.
He's suing the NFL, right? Because he says that he was blackballed from the league because of his protest, right? That's why he says he wasn't picked up by a team, is because of his protest. And so it's infringing on his First Amendment rights, and he's blackballed by the league. Not that. It's that they colluded, like all the leagues, the team got together and said that they wouldn't give him a job. Right.
So he's accusing them of collusion.
Yeah, of being blackballed by the league. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, and I don't know that it's necessarily collusion, but blackballed is the term that's being used. You know, is that everybody wrote him off collectively because of whatever. I don't know.
They did.
Yeah.
But it's not about taking away his First Amendment rights. It's you choose to say what you wanted to say, and now you're a business liability.
Right.
You know, none of the team wants to play with you because you chose to stand away from your team, stand out from your team. You're not part of our team.
Right.
It's the same shit that we talked about a long time ago.
And that's not to say that nobody supports him, because there's a lot of people that, I mean, Eric Reed, I believe, is the other player that is involved in that lawsuit. There are other people. I mean, Michael Bennett. I mean, there's people from all kinds of other teams that he's not involved in the lawsuit, but Michael Bennett knelt, during the national anthem. There's all kinds of people that supported Colin Kaepernick in the NFL. So that's not to say that he doesn't have any supporters, right? One of the things that we had talked about before, one of my points for it, is that you're on a roster with 52 other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This game is about 53 people on a team together, 11 on each side of the ball at a time. If you can't agree with the other 52 guys to do one thing, then you shouldn't be fucking doing it.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. That's not how this should work. I wouldn't, as a coach of a team, I wouldn't want somebody who is separating themselves from the team itself to act alone.
Yo, are you okaying me right now? What's up, white power? Jesus. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't be okay. I wouldn't be okay with having somebody, like I said, who is actively separating themselves from the team. You know what I'm saying? And again, we talked about this before. I would never say that somebody who is famous for whatever reason should not use that platform as a platform for their message, right?
Yeah.
But not at the time when you're actively being paid to be a football player, because you're not on your time. You are on someone else's time, right? And as shitty as everybody might think that the analogy is, right? I certainly can't go to work and not work because I don't agree with something going on in the country and expect to keep my job.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. And that's not the same deal with the guy who tried to walk up to Brett Kavanaugh. Why is that any different than my job? I can't do that. This is a job that he has. He's on TV and I'm not. That's the only difference. He's making more money than me.
Yeah.
These are both jobs that we have. Why would that be any different? Why should he expect any different just because he's on TV? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I think, well, if that's the way he's looking at it, but I mean, the stripping of the First Amendment rights, because that's actually what he's actually arguing against, right?
I believe
for.
So.
That's what he's thinking.
I would have to
that's
fact
what the lawsuit
check the
is.
entire thing. You know what I'm saying?
Either way, yeah. I guess that's kind of semantics when we're talking about the Nike situation.
Even if that's not,
because we've talked about this so many times. I mean,
even if that's not part of the claim, I'm sure that's part of the argument. It's
got to
be the lawsuit.
Yeah.
So,
because I mean, it just doesn't make. There's so many reasons, logical reasons, why he doesn't have a fucking football job anymore.
Right.
There's so many reasons that could be the reason. It's probably a combination of a lot of them. But I don't think the league is trying to suppress your fucking First Amendment rights.
No.
Okay? People they stand on ceremony for all sorts of different things, man.
Yeah.
But this is, they don't get punished like this. This is not the league punishing him. There's a lot of reasons why he doesn't have a job anymore, man.
Right.
And none of them are nefarious necessarily. So don't assume the nefarious when the logical makes sense.
Because it absolutely does.
Yeah. But yeah.
That's all I got on that.
That's all I got. Because I just don't care anymore, man. Colin Kaepernick is fucking dead to me. I mean, he was a San Francisco 49er when I knew about him.
Yeah.
And so now that he's not playing football anymore,
You're really over it?
he's just a private citizen who's famous he's an ex-football player.
Yeah.
How many ex-football players are superstars? Not very many. But he's just an ex-football player who wasn't even that good towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
That's now out doing a fucking ad deal. Whatever. Fuck that guy.
I agree. Not
Right.
totally, but certainly with the sentiment. Honestly.
Indeed. Indeed,
So
sir.
before we go to sports, some pop culture notes.
Oh, yeah.
Before we go to sadness, right? Nicki Minaj and Cardi B got into a goddamn fist fight, and
I bet you Cardi B. What? Wait, no, I don't know.
my wife told me that it is because there was some bullshit that happened with Cardi B's record company, right? Where it came out that they had tried to sign 2 or 3 other artists and give them $250,000 to be signed and start a beef with Nicki Minaj, right? And they wouldn't do it, but Cardi B did do it. And so that's why part of this is happening, is because she's getting paid to start beef with fucking Nicki Minaj.
But does Nicki not know that?
She has to now, yeah.
But she didn't, did she know it was happening before the
time?
fist fight?
I don't know.
Because she might have just thought that was all real and legit. That's fucked up, dude.
$250,000.
Isn't that Drake's label? Does he own that label? Because I know they're all basically a crew.
Nah. Is Drake's... Damn.
Because Drake collaborates all the time with
Money,
those.
babe? Do you know? Yeah, I wonder if he has his own OVO sound label.
I don't know. I don't know how the music career works anymore. The music system. I watched Nashville for a little while, but
I'll fact check that on Tuesday.
Okay.
Because he certainly was under Young Money at one point, but I don't know that he is now.
Okay.
So I would have to look that up.
Because I just assume because
Yeah,
all those
those
guys
sound
kind of collaborate together. There's that group, the Drake group.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? It's like a modern day
I'm glad that's on
fucking.
video.
Oh God, what was the show that he used to be on? That fucking kid
Degrassi.
show? Degrassi.
Oh, I wish I could watch
This
Degrassi.
is an adult version of Degrassi in the
Degrassi.
music industry. These
know
are all his people. That's
He
why.
just
So I
made-
just assume.
He just made a Degrassi themed music video like 2-3 weeks
boy.
ago. It's really good. Actually.
At least he's jumping into it. His
Jay and
new
Silent
stuff
Bob
that
are
he
in it.
put out it's not bad.
No, fuck no. Drake is awesome.
I like Drake.
Yeah.
Did you listen to Eminem's new album?
No,
Okay, I haven't
No.
either. I heard one song.
I've listened. Yeah, I think I've listened to like 3 songs, but I haven't like listened to the album. Like I haven't sat down and listened to it.
Yeah.
So the sadder notes of pop culture. Burt Reynolds died. I think he was like 81 or something like that.
He was up there.
And
Sad,
then just yesterday, like in the afternoon, Mac Miller died.
Yeah.
And
26.
That was like, yes, right. And so he has
That's
a line.
fucked up.
He even has a line in one of his songs about not wanting to join the 27 Club.
Oh.
You know? And the 27 Club, if you don't know or listeners don't know, is, there's all these famous artists, Kurt Cobain being one of them, all these people that died at the age of 27, that are like really forward artists doing lots of shit. Here, I'll look up a little list real quick, but that's a thing. It's like a pop culture thing.
That's weird. That's kind of like it. Because there wasn't much in the articles that I was reading, there wasn't many details other than the fact that it looked like an apparent overdose.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, overdosing can be a way to commit suicide.
Yes.
And so that would not surprise me.
So let's see here. Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison all died at the age of 27. And then also Kurt Cobain. Let's see here.
Man.
Alexander Levy, Louis Chavin, Robert Johnson. I mean, there's this whole list of
Holy crap.
people that died at the age of 27.
Good Lord.
That are like
So many
were
names.
like really, you know what I'm saying? Like were kind of progressive artists for what they were doing.
Yeah.
And Pat Tillman died at 27. You know.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's not just music artists. It's like people that are just doing great shit. So.
How old's Elon Musk? He's got to be over 27,
I'm
right?
sure he's
Thank
over 27.
God.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, so it's like I said, it's a whole. It's a pop culture thing. But he has a lyric in one of his songs where he talks about not wanting to join the 27 Club.
Not wanting to join.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which he didn't technically because he's 26. But you know, I mean I'm not.
But yeah, I feel like
but
at that point then.
But is
okay. With that context, I thought I was going off the assumption that he said that he wanted to be.
No. He has a lyric about not wanting to join the 27 Club.
Okay. Well, then my mind would not instantly jump to suicide.
Yes. No.
We go.
No. Doesn't want to join the 27 Club.
I almost went down a bad hole on that one.
So I thought that just was really interesting. You know.
That is interesting.
That was the case.
That is weird.
But, I love Mac Miller. I've been listening to Mac Miller since I was in fucking junior high. Like I've had a long history with Mac Miller. My favorite album, Watching Movies with the Sound Off. But
I'm trying to find my phone, and I was like, I don't know what I did with my phone.
There it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, my favorite one is Watching Movies with the Sound Off. But
I'm really bad at like remembering songs and albums and stuff. So I want to go to my Spotify and kind of like I'm like, oh yeah, that's the song I fucking love.
He has one that's called
never mind.
One that's called Kids.
Wifey's playing Spotify in the other room.
And that stands for kicking incredibly dope shit.
I saw that album cover the other day on Instagram. I think somebody shared it or whatever you call that.
That's what that stands for.
Yeah. What exactly do you call what would be called a retweet on Twitter on Instagram? Is it a
repost?
A repost.
Repost.
Okay. I'm just,
You saw a repost?
I think I probably saw a repost of that album cover. I was like, oh yeah, that's great.
So that's some dope shit.
That is.
Mac Miller made some incredible music, and that is super sad that he is gone.
Yeah.
But I will forever cherish that music and certainly share it with my children. You know what I'm saying? That's some great shit.
How young do you introduce your kids to rap?
Oh, whenever. I think that it's just important to distinguish, like, these are words that you don't use in front of everyone, you know? Like, you don't, I mean, not at home. Like, it's adults use these words, and all these people that are making these music are adults, and there's a time and place for it. And Jordan's dad caught heat for that because her sister was, like, singing Tupac on the way to school and, like, taught it to other little kids and shit. And bad news, right? So you can't be doing that, you know?
Oh, gosh.
So,
my kid said a swear?
Exactly.
Yeah, give him a couple years.
Yeah,
we'll be saying them a lot.
It was in Missouri. So people were super...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that, I guess.
Yeah.
Missouri.
So I don't have a problem with that.
Lordy.
My mom was like weird about that, like limited the type of music that we could listen to and stuff like that. Didn't let us listen to Eminem because she said that he was a wife beater. Can't listen to Eminem, he beats his wife. You know, like, all right, like, but
I mean, you can't listen to Chris Brown.
I don't know, you know. So I did listen to Chris Brown when I was a kid. So I don't know. I just don't think like that's not really a choice for me to make. Like I'm not one to say that like the music that you're listening to is gonna fucking melt your brain and make you want to murder people. So like I love fucking. I mean, Wu-Tang, NWA. I love all that shit.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't. I'm still from Bremerton. Like, I don't think that I can go out slanging fucking dope and like, doing raw shit and expect nothing to happen. Like, I just gotta understand.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing with movies.
Yes,
I love
movies,
Tom
video
Cruise.
games.
I love Tom Cruise, and I will watch his movies because I understand that he's a crazy Scientologist. I just don't care because I think he's an idiot for being a crazy Scientologist. But he makes movies that I like. I'm sorry, I'm going to watch them. I don't care.
Jordan hates Tom
He's not
Cruise.
necessarily hurt anybody. He's just a part of a system that
It's
does.
just crazy.
He's just crazy. But he still makes good shit sometimes.
Jordan hates Tom Cruise.
Why would you hate Tom Cruise,
Him
Jordan?
and Nicolas Cage are the worst actors ever.
Nicolas Cage? Nicolas Cage is a saint. How dare you?
Nicolas Cage is terrible.
He makes garbage movies,
It's terrible.
but he gets paid. And I love his garbage movies. I will call them what they are. Wicker Man? Bro, that was rough.
Hard pass.
Bangkok Dangerous. That was like one of my favorite movies for a long time. Okay? It was just so insane. Oh, the National Treasure one too. That was good. Those are good.
Where he's like the guy in the skull on
Oh, the superhero.
Oh, Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider. Superhero. Is that a superhero movie?
Yes,
I guess that is, right?
comic
comic book movie.
There we go. You got to differentiate the two, you know.
Yeah.
He's definitely no Avengers.
He's probably an anti-hero, if anything.
yeah.
So-
Kind of like Deadpool.
Yes.
But Deadpool sometimes does nice things.
yeah.
But yeah, I think he's kind of an anti-hero.
I think anybody that like actually willingly kills people is probably an anti-hero.
Yeah.
I think that might be one of the qualifications for that.
Like that old Leon movie, The Assassin. You remember that movie?
No.
No. Oh, no? Oh, my God. Don, what? Okay. That's an amazing movie. Natalie Portman is like a tiny little girl, and I can't remember his. We'll talk about it after the cast.
Yeah.
I'll show you the trailer because it's an award-winning. It's a huge fucking movie. Like on the level of Boondock Saints cult classic. Fantastic.
Lord.
You've never seen that movie?
No.
God, okay. I just can't believe it. I feel like everybody's seen that movie.
Nah.
I got you, man. I'll hook
All
you
right.
up.
Are
I'll
you
watch
ready to-
Tusk and you watch that.
Deal.
I just wanted to touch on one thing,
Yes.
and I already mentioned it, so we don't need to go into it. But
Tell me
Elon
more.
Musk was on Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
and it was weird. It was like 9:30 at night on a Thursday
It was rad.
because that's fucking Elon Musk, and it was so good,
Yeah.
so good.
Worth listening to.
It is so awesome. Just
Talks really
hear them
quiet.
talk. No, I don't know. Yeah, we can't. Next week, I said next week. That's right. I put that off. And then I forgot. I was remiss. We were going to talk about what's his face being on Joe Rogan.
Larry Sharp.
Larry Sharp, the candidate for governor. in
Yeah, we
New
can do
York.
that next
But,
week.
Yeah, we could do that next week.
Yeah.
That's all 3 topics next week.
Boom.
Boom.
That's ballin'.
Love it.
We're
We
gonna
give a
do it.
preview before we do the outro of what's coming up next week.
Yeah.
Boom. So stick
So,
around.
We just got some sports real quick, and then we can.
Yeah, because we got to
Get
talk
the fuck
about
outta
fantasy a little bit.
Yeah. So the Ducks won last week, and then they just won today because it was fucking sick.
I mean, you say won. What the fuck was the score when you
Well, let's
watched them
see.
earlier?
So the score today against Portland State was 62-14 was the final, and then last week against Bowling Green was 58-24. So those, I mean, and they're not big schools, so they're not like impressive programs. So I'm not like,
yeah,
saying
that's
that
true.
we're balling out. Like, but it moved us up one spot in the rankings last week, and will probably move us up another one this week. And maybe Portland State, I guess, this is their 15th loss in a row. So I don't know that that'll move us up in the rankings, but it counts to make us 2-0. So I'll take that. The first,
That's a rough record, man.
yes.
That's really rough.
The first NFL game happened on Thursday. I talked about that a little bit. It was the Falcons versus the Eagles.
That was pre-show, I think. We talked about that.
Oh,
So I don't think we talked about it.
Either way,
Yeah.
it
Check out
did-
the pre-show.
Yeah, it did happen. And so I watched that one. Obviously, I watched everything except for the first 6 minutes because this fucking it's bullshit. I don't want to. But so the Eagles won 18-12.
There's a story there.
In like a last minute like type of deal. And let's see, I'm playing my wife this week, so let me pull this up. Julio Jones went the fuck off, right?
Yeah.
He had 10 catches for 169 yards. And then he also had 11 rushing yards. He had one rush, I believe, for 11 yards. Ooh. So what did you say? You want me to read your lineup?
I changed my lineup.
Oh, changed her lineup.
Last minute.
Yeah. Oh, close the gap by 2 more points. Now I'm on the projected by beater by 4 points.
Chasing the projections, huh?
Yeah.
No. What's that? Do it. Who are you playing? Oh, yeah, you guys are playing each other. Yep. That's right.
Got to play my wife week 1. So Matt Ryan, 21 for 43, 251 yards, no teeters, 1 interception. It was not beautiful. I think his passer rating was like a fucking 56 or some shit like that at the end of this game. Oof. Not good. Neither team looked great. The only person who could really catch the ball was Julio Jones. I mean, like, I think Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman might have had like a couple catches, but Austin Hooper had 2 or 3 catches.
Did you say Tevin Coleman?
Tevin Coleman.
I had him on my bench.
Yeah, he had just a couple catches, not much.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I can look at this game. Falcons Eagles.
But I was surprised about him because he was the only player I had playing Thursday, and actually, Mr. Third and Brooks himself, Isaiah.
Yeah.
He had somebody. Let's see, who was it? Calvin Ridley. That was
he had no catches.
Technically playing, but
big old donut on that shit, huh? That's nice.
It was nice.
It
would have been nice. I mean, this is the bench. We're right now, there's a battle in the bench.
Oh, okay. But Calvin really wasn't playing. Okay.
Yeah. But Coleman, he picked me up 11.5 points, man.
Yeah.
He would have. And that was...
Tevin Coleman's always good to have.
I think his projection was like half that.
Yeah.
Or something like that, which is why I benched him. But
yeah. Jones, so Julio had 10 receptions. Austin Hooper had 3. Tevin Coleman had 1. Mohamed Sanu had 4. Devonta Freeman had 3. Nice. So, I mean... Calvin Ridley didn't have no fucking catches. The only person they could really actually consistently get the ball to, Mohamed Sanu, because he's a good number 2, and Julio Jones. You know, and that's not a way to win the offense. And the Eagles' defense just is great. I mean, their pass rush is fucking incredible.
Who's got Eagles D in our league? Do you know?
I do not know off the top of my head. Maybe my mom or something like that. Probably.
I'm gonna hunt that down after the cast later today and see who had them.
I'm sure it's not available. But someone has it. Jordan will look it up for us.
She's boss.
Yeah, so it looked really good. The Eagles' offense looked terrible. The only person that could really catch the ball on that side of the ball was Nelson Aguilar. He had 8 catches. Zach Ertz had 5. He also had a couple drops. And then Darren Sproles had 4 catches. Jay Ajayi had 62 rushing yards for 2 teeters, though. And then also got a 2-point conversion. So that's how they ended up winning the game. But the passing was not fantastic. They looked like shit until they ran the Philly special again, and then they put together a scoring drive, and they were good to go. Do you know what
Philly
that is?
Special?
The Philly special
I don't know what
is
this
the trick play. The name for the trick play that they ran in the Super Bowl, where I think that it was Trey Burton. It might have been Zach Ertz threw the ball to Nick Foles instead of the quarterback throwing the ball, and he caught it and ran in for a touchdown.
Oh, okay.
So it's called the Philly Special. So they ran that same thing in this game and got a first down, and then everyone's all fucking hyped up, and so then they put together a scoring drive, and they were good to go. And that's how they kind of
that fucking momentum, man. All you need sometimes is one first down. You get that tough first down, and all of a sudden your guys get lit, and they get out there and they just drive. Not always.
Yeah.
Not always.
So it's going to be sick nasty. Like I said, I got to play my wife this week. I'm not really jazzed about that. But I got Melvin Gordon going. I got Leonard Fournette, Larry Fitz, Jarvis Landry, Delaney Walker, Royce Freeman. I got Robert Woods going. I feel really good about the team that I got cracking this week. So we'll see what happens. Next Saturday, I will tell you guys whether or not I beat the shit out of my wife in fantasy, because I would never hurt my pregnant wife in real life. 22 weeks on Sunday, by the way.
Woo! And
Monday, we find out what baby we're having. What kind of baby we're having.
What kind of baby?
Yep. Yeah, boy or girl is what I mean.
I was going to say,
find that out.
Sexist as fuck,
and
Don.
so also the next time that I come here, I will know whether or not I'm having a son or a daughter.
That's fucking
Isn't that crazy as fuck?
Don't do that to me, man.
Isn't that crazy as fuck?
I'm freaking out right now.
So it's going to be wild. So just for the record, Jordan has already beaten me by 28 points because of Julio Jones.
Yes.
But that's just for right now. I didn't have anybody go on Thursday. And I don't think I have anyone that plays on Monday. Oh,
You got
Robert
Woods.
Woods plays
Yep.
on Monday.
Yeah, man, I'm just checking out your team. I'm watching you.
Robert Woods and Kerryon Johnson. Those are the two that it will come down to. I have Robert Woods. Jordan has Kerryon Johnson. And so...
I hate those last-minute fucking games, man. The Monday
They're scary.
where you're watching... If you have one player left and it's a tight race, that is not a fun situation to be in a football game.
We should... Oh, next week? Okay, so I do the Pick'ems League. Right?
Okay.
Shit. The first time ever.
Bleep.
First time fucking ever. But so I do the Pick'ems League, right? So I'm going to start doing my Pick'ems on the podcast before the Sunday games. We can do that during sports.
Nice.
I got to pick the Thursday game, obviously, but I can't believe I just did that. Anyway,
That's so funny.
cut those two little snippets out.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to wait. Well, actually, no, I could do that too, because usually I just edit the podcast real quick, just because you know how long it takes, and I just use that as the audio for the video.
Yeah.
It only takes a little bit, but now I'm gonna have to remember to go in there too and bleep that out. We both got bleeps this week.
Whoops.
Word.
Yeah. So like I said, next week we'll do the pick'ems because I already said them and shit this week. But I'll just have to pick my Thursday, and then we can do the rest of it. I think that'll be fun. That's good content.
Absolutely.
A little bit of pick'ems on the sports segment. So
Fuck yeah.
I think that's all that I have some notes to go over for sports. Khalil Mack, I don't know whether or not I talked about this the last time we were here.
No.
He's the DN for the Raiders. He was holding out. He just signed. He got traded to the Bears. So I think I said that, but I didn't know his contract details then. He signed a 6-year, $141 million contract with 90 guaranteed. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Signed a giant fucking contract with the Bears. The Raiders traded their safety Shalom Luani to the Seahawks. So
Shalom.
picked up a new safety. Seahawks cornerback Byron Maxwell went on the IR. Deion Jordan is going to be activated from the PUP list. The Hawks said they didn't plan to trade Earl Thomas before the season started, and then the other day, Earl Thomas stopped his holdout, said he was going to show up, and so Earl Thomas, I think, is going to play Week 1 this week.
I'm pretty sure I read the same. I read an article about that.
And then we waived fucking Magoo. We got a tight end from the Cowboys, and we traded Marcus Johnson, who is the receiver that we got in the trade for Michael Bennett from the Eagles. The Bills cut Corey Coleman, which is fucking weird because I think that they traded they traded like a 7th round pick or whatever. They didn't trade shit for Corey Coleman, but he came from the Browns, and so he got cut. He probably got signed somewhere else or will. I'm sure he did before. By the time this airs, I think Corey Coleman probably is on the team. The Cowboys released their kicker Dan Bailey, and the Chargers signed Antonio Gates to a 1-year contract because Hunter Henry tore his ACL earlier this year. Antonio Gates was going to retire. He wasn't going to play anymore.
Just get him one more year.
Yeah, but then
hang out one more year, bro.
Hunter Henry tore his ACL, and so they just signed him to a one more contract to get him through. And then the last thing that I want to talk about in fucking sports, right?
Okay.
The NPR motherfucking podcast, right? Usually a really good podcast, NPR podcast. It's like once or twice weekly, you know.
I'm trying to think about which podcast you're talking about now.
I'll pull up the picture for you while we're sitting here.
Okay.
That's it. That's NPR Politics Podcast.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if you listen to that one. So
I
the information
do on occasion.
is good, right? The information is good.
If you weave through the narrative.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely have to, but in what I do, listen to the 25 different
all the
podcasts,
time.
It's part of the
Absolutely.
scope, right? So it
definitely
that
is.
shit doesn't even bother me anymore.
Yeah.
It's just part of the scope of what I listen to, right? Okay. So we have a linebacker named Shaquem Griffin.
Yes.
Right? With one hand, his brother's name is Shaquille. He's a corner, right? They're twin brothers. Play on the same team. They went to college together. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to this politics podcast. They do a thing at the end of the podcast that's called Can't Let It Go. Right? It's like a little segment they do that's
I've
either
heard that.
politics or not. It's just something that they were in, just loved that week and couldn't fucking let go.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a segment they wanted to get to or something.
So I don't remember who it is because I'm a fucking idiot, right? But one of those guys on those podcasts was like, oh, the thing that I can't let go this week, right, is a linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks named Shaquem Griffin, right? And then goes on to say how he's got one hand and he wasn't even invited to the Seahawk Combine, right? Which the NFL has a combine, right, where they go and the people who are coming into the draft show off their skills, right? And then he says, and the combine is essentially tryouts for the team, which is not what the fuck it is, because you're just going there to show what you got, right? And then he's like, but then they saw, you know, that he's benching 225 pounds 20 times with one hand and all this stuff. And you know, it's just so crazy that all this is happening, right? First of all, it irritated me that he got those things wrong, right? Oh, he's like, this is just a tiny thing, but he's like, and he runs a 4.3840, which is how quickly you run 40 yards. No fucking shit. What else is that? What else would that be, right? Okay, so the thing, those two things bothered me, right? And then the other thing that bothered me about that
this week in things Don hates
is that it's so fucking fake, right? Because I know for a fact that he didn't even watch one single video of him at the combine or highlights or anything, because then he would know that his name is fucking Shaquem Griffin and not Shaquem. Right?
I think it goes deeper than that, probably.
It's so fucking fake that you can't even try and watch one goddamn video. Like, it's so fake that you just don't give a shit, and you want people to think that you watch football and actually give a fuck because you know, big football Sunday is coming up. Fuck you, dude. That is so disingenuous and shitty.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to, like, just be one of the homies.
You don't got a lot to kick it.
It's like, dude, yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's
you don't
fine.
got a lot to kick it. Like, just
if you don't get down on football, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I am blissfully aware of my own football ignorance, but I still love football. I love to watch football. I love my players. I love my teams. I was so fucking hesitant about getting back into fantasy, but I love my fantasy, man.
Yeah.
I love it too much, and that's the problem. But I'm not going to pretend like I'm a big stats guy. I'm just not a big stats guy. I just enjoy it. Exactly. That's why you're here, baby. It's the only reason I keep you around for my football stats.
But that's all I got. NPR podcast. That's the last thing. Fuck you. Don't be fake.
I love that. This week in What Does Don Hate?
Yeah. You ain't got a lot to kick it.
No.
So that's all I got. So are you ready to get out of here? Do you have anything else that you want
to... preview for next week's topics before we leave you guys. So we talked about it this week.
More Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Larry Sharp and Elon Musk. We're going to talk about both of those guys.
Yep. And then the Catholic Church scandal.
Yes, Catholic Church.
Absolutely.
Catholic Church next week. So you have to watch Spotlight before the next show.
Oh, I'm definitely
I recommend that to everybody. Anybody listening to the show right now, before next week's episode.
Where do you find it?
Netflix. Spotlight is on Netflix right now.
Watch Spotlight on Netflix. If you have Netflix.
Watch Spotlight. It has fucking Michael Keaton in it, and Mark Ruffalo is in it, and what's her name? Rachel McAdams is in it.
Ooh,
it's a star-studded
cast. Yeah. Okay,
star-studded cast.
I have because I haven't seen it yet, but I will watch it this week.
Fantastic movie.
My wife is Catholic.
Yes.
She's a Spanish woman. She's a Latina from South America. And she's Catholic, which means this is Catholic veins running deep.
These are things that she will have to face about. I think that it's important to separate the people that actively involve themselves in these scandals and the people that that led her church. You know, if there's no scandals in her church, then it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
You know, to me, it doesn't matter. It's because it's a problem deeper than any one individual in any of these churches.
And that there is a fucking epic preview for what we're going to get next week.
So that's what we're going to talk about. Like I said, watch Spotlight before the episode next week. And I'm going to watch it again, and then we'll talk about this whole thing because it's a fucking huge deal. And
I love these things where we both do something during the week. Like, you know, I can't catch. It used to be the Senate hearings. I mean, you just get jazzed about that. We could listen to them together, and then we talk about it. But since I can't necessarily do that anymore because it's a fucking lot of time, this is a good way to get around that. We get to watch Spotlight this week together and talk about it. I love it.
Yes,
I can't wait. And we suggest you guys do the same. That way, if you want to get into the conversation about what we're talking about and what you think about it, if you want to throw your 2 cents into this, you can hit us up on our social media, hit us up on the comments in our blog. You can do anything. Just reach out and we'll get the conversation going. And I think with that, I'm ready for your line, Don.
Okay. So, Colin, everything going on that I just been so upset about, I told y'all all everything that I had a problem with this week. How am I not supposed to dream about owning imported leather shops in Arizona? How am I not supposed to?
Pretty fucking simply.